Sorry, I was running a little bit late. Had to relieve myself in the bathroom at game time, but I'm all good now. So, right, my earphones are tangled. One sec. All right, that's better. That is better. Markets. I have to say, as you guys know, I'm always a bullish person. I'm always bullish, and there is nothing worse. There really is nothing worse than not being long when markets are ripping. I just hate that. I just hate that feeling. Let's see. Oh God, I think I've closed the wrong window here. 1 second. Let's see. Window. Google Chrome trading view. There we go. Let's just move the screen. Sorry about this. There we go. Okay. Oh, actually, I want that, don't I? So, yeah, stuff is up again. We are... Let's get these full charts up, actually. So, new all-time highs, S&P 500, I think, right? That is a new all-time high, right? I think we hit a new all-time high today. NASDAQ is bouncing. Again, we're still at this kind of like... We're at this range where we've been rejected many times. I know stuff's up a lot today, but I still feel like I'd rather not own risk here. I don't know if that's crazy. I might be crazy on that. Have I just locked myself into a bear hole here? I'm not even bearish, but I just think I'm a bit cautious. I don't know what it takes to... The thing is, as I said yesterday, you do now have a clear coast in terms of data. The next thing we have is payrolls, which is the first week of September. So there's 2 or 3 weeks of summer here with not much going on. I'm not the only one who's cautious. So it does beg the question if we can have a bit of a summer grind. Now, PPI numbers came in below expectations, and that's one of the reasons why we're rallying. So it has, we've had CPI in line, PPI below, payrolls mixed, really. So I don't think it really changes the narrative too much, but the way that the market is reacting tells you people were maybe worried about the opposite, and it does tell you that the rate hike fears are real, and it does tell you that I'm not the only person who's cautious, other people are as well. And it tells you it just shows positioning. I think days like today show positioning. That being said, I don't think anything has really changed for me. And, fucking Nebius, man. I sold this at 222 I got out at, and I literally bought this at 190 odd. Massive, could have made some good money on that. Left a lot on the table. Unfortunate. And the weird thing is I picked limit orders with Claude, and it was literally limit orders all the way up here. And even Claude told me that Claude was like, if it breaches this level, it's going to squeeze up to here. There's all, and I was like, yeah, but then I just haven't been taking profits, and I should just take this one. So, yeah, huge move on Nebius. Pretty big move on memory names too. SanDisk up a lot, up 11% today. approaching this level here again. Micron approaching that 1,000 level again. We're getting to that point now where it gets interesting. We've kept getting rejected around here, and so I wonder what happens now. Like, do we break through these levels or do we get rejected again? That's going to be an interesting thing. And maybe the overhang of earnings and data and all that kind of stuff was a reason for people to de-risk, and now that we've had them and we've had situational awareness clear up, like, could we continue to go on an extended run? I don't know. Even SpaceX up a lot. I think it's up 40% off the lows. Just another one, like, good trade, didn't hold on to it. The stuff I held on to down. Where's Tesla and Google? Google's not done that well, right? Yeah. Tesla's up a little bit, not really, nothing crazy. But yeah, stuff's strong. It's painful. Congrats to everyone who's held their equities, because I haven't. I'm all in cash on stock, so it's definitely painful to watch these things. But I'm not going to get sucked into buying up here. I think I'm happy to wait. Sit on the sidelines. I'm happy to wait to see what happens in September. I did have a dark thought today about whether to take a small short in stocks. Like around here. That's a very dark thought of me. I never short anything. But I still think there's a good chance this stuff gets rejected again and sells off again. Don't know. The thing is, being flat is basically like being short. Yeah, you don't lose or win any money, but you just have to go through the emotional trauma of not having a position. Now, if you're short and you lose money when things go up, you're in a bad spot there. That's a nasty spot. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. But you could do it with a tight stop and all that. I don't know. It's worth a punt. This is interesting because it's breaking through these moving average levels now. SanDisk, that 1,000 level really was a generational buy. I should have just held it all the way through. Yeah, really interesting moves on stocks. But I still do believe I'm still going to be cautious here. I'm not going to top last or chase. I'm not going to top last or chase. I do think given this range, I think it means I need to be a bit more aggressive about buying these dips or having some risk on here. And I think I was just a bit too, I got Micron at 720 and I bought a tiny amount. Could have bought size there with a tight stop. That would have been better. And then have more of a position to hold on to. So I think I just need to be maybe a bit more aggressive about the ranges. But yeah, let's see. I'm not going to do anything on a day like today. Could potentially buy some puts on things today. And then you know how much you're going to lose. But let's see. I'm going to have a look. But yeah, I don't think my views change. I think we're seeing a squeeze. It's not surprising to see a squeeze in an environment like this. I am surprised we're squeezing this much based on the CPI and PPI numbers. I don't think they were I guess PPI came in lower, but CPI was in line. So it does show that I think the market doesn't have enough risk. The market feels like it's scared and then it squeezes, right? People are probably, I'm flat these names, but people for sure are short all this stuff, right? Obviously, Michael Burry is short Nebius, Micron. I'm sure a bunch of other guys are short this stuff too, and it feels like a short squeeze to me. So let's see. This feels like the first day where we've had that strength not get sold and get carried forward to the next day, and then the risk of being short is that this just continues for the next 2 weeks. because there's no catalyst, there's no data point. People are worried about. There's no earnings. FOMC is not till mid-Sep. It feels like people have already de-risked. It feels like there are shorts. Can you have a continued squeeze here? Very possible. It's very possible. It just makes me wonder if I de-risked a little bit too early, like 2 weeks too early. But this is the thing. Like, I don't want to chase this move now, which has been the right decision for me in the last 2 weeks. But now, if this drops, it's almost like I don't want to bid that dip, because we're getting closer to the point where I think we could correct. But I think, I'm sitting on a fuck ton of cash here. Sitting on 1.5, almost 1.2 million cash. I could have 300k in stocks. That's still defensive. This is like mega defensive. I'll have a think, but I think that, it's never a good idea to take a punt, to take actions on days like this. But it is awfully tempting to do something here. Don't know. Although this stuff just looks like full breakouts, doesn't it? Crypto. Let's talk about crypto. Let's have a look at ponds. Yeah, this is the level on ponds, isn't it? This like 5.1, 5.2, 5.3 level that we keep getting rejected at. Price is price, and obviously we're all looking at it every single day. I definitely am, but still, this is the main thing for me, right? It's just, let's keep tracking these fees. Just make this screen a bit more in the middle. What am I doing? Here we go. So I think we had another, 118k revenue day. So in the last 7 days, this has generated over 100k in revenue, for the platform itself. The amount burnt has now gone to 27.3%. So that's up substantially this week as well. Market share, last 24 hours, 65%. So still north of 60% in terms of fees. Nox is the other guy, and this is all just cash cap, basically. Every other platform down quite a bit. Stockbrokers down quite a bit in the last 24 hours, but also these guys too. Number of launches, it's missing out to Flap, whatever. I don't really hear anyone speaking about Flap. I don't know. I don't even know what it is, but they're obviously doing a fuck ton of launches, but they're not generating any volume. But interestingly, Pons has now moved back up to second place in terms of number of launches, where Pools was on top for a long time. Well, I say a long time, for the last few days. So that's interesting. But really, this is not as important as this. It's all about fees, right? You could just bot millions of launches and make zero fees because there's no volume on it. Whereas for this, it shows there's a lot of volume. So revenue momentum, 16%, 7 days and 7 days, 16%. This is really positive. That this shows that the momentum in revenues is increasing, which is very positive. That inflow coverage number has gone up, buyback pace has gone down a little bit, but I think they had a lot of buybacks accumulate, and then they were quite aggressive on spending it in the last week or so. So I think still at the 0.7x. So for me, whatever. I think price is going to move up or down based on people exiting, based on people entering. But this is still, for me, the most important thing. While these numbers continue, eventually it starts to become mispriced. When we started looking at this, we had 2 weeks worth of revenue data. We now have just over a month of revenue data, and the momentum is increasing. Next month, we'll have 2 months. Then we'll have 3 months. And while these numbers are still strong and growing, it makes this more and more mispriced. It also means the good thing about the market cap staying low, by the way, is more supply can get burnt. But eventually, some big guy is going to be like, okay, this is now a big trade. Like, let's get involved here. And eventually that happens, and then, you know, it starts to move. So, I think I'm not paying too much attention to this. Who knows where we drop? I don't know what is this a support level or something? I don't know really sure. We were quite strong here yesterday, but you know, if these numbers here were weaker while the price dropped, then I would be like, okay, maybe it's time to exit, or maybe it's time to reduce. But these numbers were strong, and the price drops. For me, that's more of an opportunity. I'm not adding risk up here because like my entry price is low. My entry price is what, 0.018. I did average up on that. You know, I bought some more at point, what was it, 0.02 or something like that. So there's no need for me to average up. I think a decent size position, but if I didn't have any here, I would see this dip as an opportunity because revenue keeps increasing, and now you've had a decent pullback here. So that's where I'd be buying, I think, or adding some risk and averaging down. There's been some interesting moves in Robinhood actually. Like stockbroker's down quite a bit. I don't really catch everything that happened, but I guess the launch pad, some people got wind of the launch pad because they're doing some test transactions on it or something, and I think some coins were launched from it, and then people bought them, and then wow, this stuff is ripping. SanDisk and Micron are absolutely ripping. I think, and then I think Simple Pharma said there were scams, and then everything went to zero, and then I think that obviously caused a bit of controversy, and you know, maybe people sold for that too. You know, as we've seen, launch days and launches are just, you never want to trade around them. You know, you never want to get too. I've learnt that the hard way, I guess. You just don't want to be too bulled up into it, and it's hard work for everyone. It's almost like you want to buy. You don't want to buy like the highs of something into a launch. You want to wait for that dip because the launch messes up, or because of sell the news, and then you buy that dip. That feels like the best way to trade. That worked on Ponds, probably worked on many other assets and companies and all that kind of stuff. Buy the rumor, sell the news. Sell the rumor, buy the news. So maybe that's what happens here, but maybe that's now priced in because this has dropped. I don't really know. I don't know. Not close enough to the story, but it's on my radar. I think I'm glad I didn't FOMO in and top blast up here. This is the first real major pullback we've seen. I still think for me, I would want to buy this if it was at a market cap that was lower than Ponds, which is not right now. So it's still not in buy territory for me, but definitely have my eyes on it. Definitely have my eyes on this. What's another? Cat is another big mover, right? Yeah, Tabs and I just didn't this hit 30 mil? It hit 33 mil yesterday. I guess we've had a decent pullback, but I don't own any, but I'm obviously as this is a Ponds ecosystem coin, I'm obviously a big supporter of it. I would love to see this do really well. $3.5 million volume is nice in the last 24 hours. I'd love to see this get up to cash cat levels. Yeah, I'm trying to not touch memes. I'm trying to not really touch memes and fuck around in memes. Yeah, lots of people will have phoned in up here. Now they're sitting here, and maybe it ends up being a good trade anyway. But it's yeah, this kind of stuff is not really going to be for me. And that's not to say I never get tempted. I do get tempted a lot, but I'm just trying my best to avoid. What else? You know what's funny? You know what's quite interesting actually? So I made this Sestry. I made this token scanner, which we haven't released yet. I need to finish it. Token screener. One of the things that got screened was this coin. I just saw it on my timeline, which is why I raised it. But and it was like it had just launched, and it was like 5K market cap, and it was screened because of a specific filter I put in. Anyway, I just saw this on my timeline, someone talking about crime coins, and then I had a look at it. It's like, oh wow, this ran all the way up to 5 mil, and I was like, where do I recognize that name? And then I realized it was on the screener that I made. So I need to get back. I was just looking at that now. See if I can find it. Let me see. Was it on? Maybe did it on ChatGPT. Screener, yeah. Made this screener a while back. Can you tell me some coins that were identified at? I'm going to see what other coins it mentioned, but I think I have a good idea. So anyone can make a screener, right? Anyone can fucking vibe code shit. The thing that's more important is sort of like AI is the weights or the filters. Like, what things are you looking for? What is the actual screener? So I put in something based on something I saw recently that I thought made sense, and it came up with a bunch of coins, and this Sestry coin was one of them. So I'm just asking ChatGPT now, like, what the I did this using Codex, what the other coins were that came up, and if it was good, then yeah, I'll try and complete this and roll it out. The only problem is I just need to get this. It's a bit costly to keep running the pulling from the API, but I think there's a way around that. Yeah, that could be, I literally have zero idea what this is. Yeah, see, it says, let me see, can I share the screen without showing you guys? Let's do window capture. Let's move this here. No, that's not the right one, is it? Remove window capture. Yeah, I need to do a new one, right? Add new window capture. There we go. ChatGPT. Right. So here, this is this ChatGPT thing where I built the screener. I just asked, I think Sestry also says, yeah, Sestry is definitely in the saved alert ledger. There are 5 separate tokens using their ticker, 4 Pons launches generated accumulation alerts. The strongest was a notable linked wallet accumulation alert. I'm separating those contracts, calculating the price valuation at the alerted cluster. So it's going to tell us at what price it found that Sestry coin, but that could be pretty good. You know, if that worked, this could be quite a nice feature for pro members, because these coins will get identified when they're at like 1,000, whatever, 5K, 10K market cap. So you can put in a tiny amount and still make a lot of money if it does work out. Like, you could have, I don't know, let's see what this says, but you could have bought this thing literally here. I think when I saw it, it was like it had just launched and it was just there hovering at around like a 10, 20K market cap for hours. So, you know, you buy something at 10K market cap and it goes to 100K, you know, you're like, oh, shit, do I sell? And then it goes to how do you hold something like that to 5 mil? You never really know. But I guess the other thing as well is, like, if I'm, you know, I guess these are crime coins. I don't know. I'm Sestry. I'm sorry if you're not a crime coin. I just have no idea what this is. But if you're running a crime coin and you deploy it and no one knows what it is, and then someone comes in and buys 10% of the supply, do you as the deployer continue running the crime, or do you just deploy a new coin? You see what I mean? So it's almost like if you buy it, you have to buy a small amount, like 1%, or even less than that. I don't know. I really don't know. Anyway, this is still running, so I'll leave it there to run. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know really what else to add on the crypto front. Just majors, just a very, very tight range. You know, this is good for on-chain activity. I think it's good for on-chain activity. I think we've had my sense on Robinhood and just general on-chain stuff is we've had a bit of a heater for the last few days, and I think some of the on FOMO it says the thesis of Sentry is that it's from the dev of Grass coin. I think Grass is another. Sorry, Sestry. I think Grass is another AI coin. So that's the thesis there on FOMO if anyone wants to look into it a bit more. But yeah, I don't know. I think it feels like we're at a point where it needs a bit of a breather, and that's where we are right now on Robinhood and on chain stuff. Like stuff is yesterday it felt like we had this blow off top kind of moment where we had these huge green candles and they all got sold down, and I think a bunch of people all decided to sell basically. So natural course of action, I think, for people to take profits. But for meme coins, I think you should take profits. If you're up big on meme coins, I would absolutely be taking profits because you just don't know when it gets vamped. You just don't know when the teams move on, etc. For launch pads, I think it's a different story. For ponds, I think it's a different story. We've beaten off all the risks. We've beaten off all the risks of other competing launch pads. The two that remain are Pump Fund, which I don't think will be for a while, if at all. They don't have an EVM launch pad, even though their app lets you trade on any chain, I believe. And then stockbrokers, but stockbrokers had a bit of a hiccup yesterday, so my hunch is not really going to meaningfully change the market share number for ponds. It will lose a little bit, but I don't think it's not like a killer, you know what I mean? It's not like people are worried about Uniswap killing it or Bonk killing it and all that kind of stuff. I don't think that's going to happen here. So for me, it's just hold on, and I'm waiting for that multiple to be north of 1, hopefully closer to 2 before I start taking profits on that. But yeah, other than that, I don't know what else to say. It's a quiet day, except for everyone who holds stocks. Really happy for you guys. Okay, let's have a look at this. Got some info back. So, token MM. I don't know what that was, but wow, that was a 68x. Hypnotize was a 21x. The Bull was a 9x. Pandy was an 8.5x. I mean, but okay, these alerts were just watch. They weren't notable. The only one that was notable was the Bull. Sestry did receive a notable accumulation alert, but I think this maybe is the wrong coin, because it said there were a few Sestrys. I think there's something here. Like, that's not bad. Because sometimes you're just like, what do I trade? But if you get data on this, and let's say you spray $100 in each of these and everything. Just thinking if I could create a bot that basically takes this information and then trades on it. I wonder if I can do that. This would be pretty interesting, right? If we could pull this off. I'm going to go back through the data and go back through the settings and parameters and see what came of it and what didn't. This is just 6 coins and then 7 plus Sestry, and it probably came up with loads of coins. But I mean, actually, let me ask it. As a population, well, what was the percentage success rate of coins that were notable or watch? Let's define success as it did at least a 5x, let's say. Actually, give success rates at the following multiples. So let's say 2x, 3x. Ah, fuck. Up to 10x. Curious to see that. Yeah, I see the comments on the trading pool for the bot, but it's like taking an investment, right? You have to do that in a regulated way. I can't do that, sadly. What we could do is we can make, if the bot works, can make it available for people to use. But then if everyone's using the same bot, it's not going to work, is it? Because everyone's just doing the same thing on these microcaps. Let's see what this says. While that's loading, if anyone has questions, let's have a look. Tom, you must have a question. Yes. This tight range of BTC and ETH this tight range of BTC and Ethereum reminds me of the tail end of the last bear market in 2022 when it traded in a $100,000 range between mid-November through till the first week of January 23. Admittedly, the price action is very boring. Not sure how majors trade into September of stocks a week. Maybe 4-year cycle will fulfill its entirety. Yeah, it does. It reminds me a bit less of 2022 and a bit more of 2023 when sort of like everything's happened. And I think there's, as you can see, there's a lot of on-chain activity, and in 2023 there's a lot of on-chain activity, right? That's when Pepe ran, that's when Bonk started to run, all that Solana stuff started to happen. The excitement around Robinhood maybe feels similar to Solana. I still feel like Solana was probably bigger, but maybe this is like early days. We might be in Solana summer 23 or even Solana spring 23 rather than Solana December 23 when it was completely popping off, right? So I do agree, and I think it's good for on-chain activity to have this stability because it allows narratives to form, it allows people to build positions, it allows people to take more risk, and then I think if people can get comfortable with narratives, risk positions, and all that kind of stuff, it then allows us to rally afterwards. So it allows us to rally with Bitcoin because people get comfortable in those positions. So I think it's good. I do think it's a really good environment. It's just it just feels like we're early. There's not even on Robinhood. There's no one really trading it. It feels like there is because all you're doing is seeing the same shit on your timeline and you're in the same echo chamber. But it does really feel like no one is. It's probably a few hundred active traders, I reckon. Maybe it's a few thousand, I don't know, but it's not a lot. and I think that's a good thing. I think that means you're early. Early and right, early and wrong are two different things, but at least you're early. You know, at least you're actually early, and you're not top ticking stuff. That's how I feel about it. But we'll see if it's we'll see what happens. This thing is taking a bit of a while to load, so I don't know. I'll have a look at the screener. I'll put it. I'm working on a few different things right now. The priority is to get Mando up and running on Rekt Mkts, which we are quite close to. I just need him to confirm that the numbers are correct and then work on the design a little bit for 2 traders, but that's the priority. And then this screener, I guess, is built, basically. It's basically all built. I just need to... It was just ripping through my through our API costs on-chain data, so I just need to make sure we've modeled that in a way where it's efficient. But if all good, then we can just release this too, which could be quite interesting. Because it sounds like we would have made a bit of money on it if we had tried on some of these coins, but we'll see. Any more questions? Let me have a quick look. Rekt AI seems to stop minting new art. I need to check why that stopped. I'll have a look into that now and make sure we get that fixed. Questions? What's the story behind the bicep band? You look like one guitar solo away from joining an 80s hair metal band. I wear a root, but I wear it on my bicep. I prefer to wear it on my bicep but it feels annoying on my wrist. I think apparently the data is more accurate on your bicep, and if you want to wear a watch, it allows you to wear a watch without having to wear things on 2 wrists. But no, someone told me they liked the bicep band. I tried it one day and I actually really liked it too. I don't even notice it or realize it's there, especially when it's really hot on a day like today. Like wearing stuff on my wrist it just really irritates me, especially when I'm sleeping. But wearing that there is actually quite comfy. So if there are any other Whoop aficionados like myself, I'd recommend the bicep band. This has come back with the data, by the way, so why don't we run through this before I call it a day. So pretty good. Is this not the... Is this the cumulative number? Or? It must be a cumulative number, right? 303 unique contracts received a watch or notable accumulation alert. Only 63 had a fresh price immediately before the alert. So the bold percentage uses 63 observable outcomes. Okay. Right. So this is based on 63 that had a viable price alert, not the entire 303. But of that 63, 43% of them were at least a... this must be a cumulative... yeah, it must be a cumulative number. So only like 6% of them were 10x. But it's one of those things where you can look at the... there's 4 coins, right? Or 4 hits, whatever. There's 63 coins is only a handful of coins. So it gives you a list of coins to look at, I think. It will... We can then look at... This is just like a filter that just pukes out coins. It doesn't do the fundamental analysis on it. So we can then get this list of coins that are either notable or it says watch, and then look into it a bit more and be like, okay, is there any interesting activity here? Should we get involved? Could be a good way to screen for things, I think. I feel like that's how you stumble on this really, really early stuff. And take a punt. So I'll work on getting this up and running. But yeah, let's call it a day there. Yeah, sorry, not much to really add today, and I don't know if there'll be much to add tomorrow either. But I will be back tomorrow. I'm actually next week. I'm away. I'm not at home. So I was trying to think whether to continue the streams or do a week's break on them while we get some of the other stuff built, etc. It's also the penultimate week of August. I think the market's going to be very quiet. So yeah, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. But I feel like it might be a good time to have a week's break next week, and then come back last week of August. Then we, September's going to be fucking all guns blazing. Yeah, it depends on the market. If there's anything going on, then we can chat about it. If not, then yeah, maybe not. So we'll see. Let's see. I'll have a think about it. If you guys feel strongly, let me know. But yeah, maybe I could do a midweek. Maybe we could do, instead of doing it every day, we could do like one midweek or something like that. I will be back on Friday, so maybe we could just do a Friday one as well at the very least. So let's see. I'll have a think. But anyway, thanks everyone for listening. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Let's hope we get some more activity. Someone please hold my fingers from doing something in the equity markets before I do something silly. All right, cheers guys. See you tomorrow.